Day two of the 2022 NFL Scouting Combine here in Indianapolis, Indiana, inside Lucas Oil Stadium. Oh, did we have a night last night, but let's focus on today for the moment. There he is, head coach of the Lions, Dan Campbell. They invested on the offensive line with their top pick last year, Penny Sewell, and that's a man who knows a little something about how important the O-line is. Lost Ronnie Stanley, and of course things got a little shaky for the Ravens for the remainder of the season. So as we are inside with an excellent group of dancing bears making their way onto the field, including Charles Cross. We'll get to him out of Mississippi State in just a moment. But as we get ready for day two, Bucky Brooks, Lance Zierlein. Bucky, a longtime scout for the Seahawks and the Carolina Panthers. Lance Zierlein, the man tasked with bios for all 9,000 players that we need to know come the end of April and the very start of May for that three-day draft experience. Guys, let's get to it, though. Last night, what an unbelievable evening we had to kick off the 2022 Combine. We saw speed, and then we saw speed, and then after that, Bucky, we saw more speed.
Hey, look, man, it was all about the explosiveness of these wide receivers. 8 guys under 4.4, and the times that we saw hit guys hitting the 4.2 mark, guys really showing that they can accelerate. The surprising part of it is a lot of straight line speed, but then you look, these guys could not change direction on the 3-cone, so it just speaks to the overemphasis on straight line speed, maybe not as much on the quickness in the lateral change of direction.
Baller move by Danny Gray and Calvin Austin to run it once go. I'm good. I thought that was interesting. But, you know, this is the one thing that's interesting to me is that a lot of these guys we're seeing running right now, they don't look like DK Metcalf. They're smaller guys. They're in the 180s. Not many people on earth do, actually.
They're 101 on that.
But, you know, the fast is great, but it needs context as well. This guy's 182 pounds, so can he get off press? Can he win a contested catch? Speed is great, but you have to understand speed in the context of can you make catches in the NFL? Can you separate in the NFL? You know,
it seems like far too often we point out the best receivers in the NFL are the guys. I think the magic number is 4.55, right? That end up running those 4.55s because they're great route runners. They're 50-50 ball winners, and we saw quite a few of those. But it really was an impressive group, and it was a lot of fun to see yesterday. So fun that the Dallas Cowboys, and by the way, here is our fastest official 40-yard dash time since 2003. Of course, John Ross holds on to that 4.22. We thought maybe Tyquan Thornton had a 4.21 unofficially, but that got corrected to the 4.28, so tied with 2 others. Makes the top 6, but so impressive were the wide receivers that we got the breaking news today, Lance and Bucky, that the Cowboys are going to try to trade Amari Cooper. If they cannot, likely will be released. Thoughts?
I think it's a huge mistake by the Dallas Cowboys because I'm going to say this. All number 1 receivers are not created equal. I love CeeDee Lamb. I like Michael Gallup, but those guys on Amari Cooper and what Amari Cooper can bring on the field. And so you talk about a guy that's top 10 in receptions, touchdowns, yards, and all those things since he was traded over to Dallas. It's a huge hole to replace, and I think the Cowboys are underestimating how big he is.
Listen, you gave money to your quarterback. You gave money to your running back. You drafted CeeDee Lamb in a first-round capital. I mean, unfortunately, I think this is just the reality of what you're dealing with. And, you know, Michael Parsons, he's not going to be cheap. It's not for a while where he gets paid.
A little time there.
Dallas has done a good job of adding talent to their roster. This is just the way that it is. I mean, you get players who are good at their position. They're going to cost money, and at some point you're going to have to make some tough calls. So it's not going to make Dallas a better team. I know that much. But it is what it is, and it's why Dallas was probably paying a little closer attention yesterday than they might have been last year at this time, or 2 years ago, I should say.
So we can see it behind us. I can see it in my periphery. The big men are hitting the field, Bucky, and we're going to get this thing started at 4 p.m. Going to go 4 to 10 p.m. Eastern time. Offensive linemen, and that'll be followed by running backs. We got the 40s coming up at 4, Daniel Jeremiah, Rich Eisen. Bucky, here is a look at your top 10, and what do we see? Number 1 pick, offensive tackle. Number 4 pick, number 5 pick, offensive tackle. You got 3 tackles in your top 5, and why don't you get us started as we dig into this group that looks deep and impressive with Evan Neal. Not going to work out here today, but, well, the measurables were certainly an announcement.
Yeah, look, the measurables are outstanding for Evan Neal, and it's not only how long he is and the way that he moves and all of that on tape. He's a technician. And when you're at the number 1 overall pick and you're thinking about getting a franchise left tackle, you want someone who is going to be fairly polished and flawless on the edge. He has all of those capabilities, and he has a little nastiness to kind of change the tenor of your offensive line.
You know what I like about him is that he is an Alabama tackle, and defensive line, offensive line, they're going to be skilled technicians. You just saw that right there with what he did to that was DeMarvin Leal, by the way, who did that too. He's played right tackle. He's played left tackle. He came in lighter this year, Money, so he wanted to make himself quicker, and the point was made. When you watch tape, he's a much quicker player this year, and then you saw what the body type looked like, and you're like, wow. I mean, it looks like he's staying on top of his fitness regimen, and he's staying on top of making sure he keeps himself in the type of shape he needs to be in to be a left tackle, and so that's a big advantage.
Let's go last two Alabama tackles. Better or worse? Alex Leatherwood.
He's much better.
All right. Better or worse? Jedrick Wills.
I'm going to say I like Jedrick a little bit better.
I gave you the easy one.
It's a little push.
It's close. It's very close.
We saw him walking in. Let's go Charles Cross, Mississippi State, your number 2 tackle on your board.
Hey, man, I like this guy. I mean, we are a pass-heavy offense. I want Charles Cross to be the guy that is the blindside protector, because when I look at him, he understands how to play the position. He sorts out the stunts in games, does a great job with his quick sets and snaps, puts his hands right in the middle of the chest, and when he locks on, he doesn't lose. Now, in the run game, I would like to see him move bodies a little more, but if I am a team that likes to throw it more than run it, Charles Cross could be my guy.
He's got great hands. I mean, he's really a technician with his hands. I think the one thing that's going to pop out here, though, and maybe against him, is when people see what Evan Neal looked like in his workout, when they see Trevor Penny, when they see Kennard from Kentucky. These are some monsters. I mean, there are some monsters out here, and he doesn't look as big as the other guys. And so sometimes the eyeball test, it can hurt you a little bit out here, even when you're in shorts and shirts.
Keep it going. Speaking of looking good in shorts and shirts, how about Ike Ekwonu?
I mean, let me tell you something. This guy is he's a monster. He is broad across the chest, broad across the lowers. He has the body type that you love. He can play right tackle, left tackle. He can play guard. He is a little bit he's a little bit of a project, not a project, but he needs development. He's developmental in terms of his pass protection and some of his pass set stuff, but the footwork is there to do everything. And Bucky, what we look for is you want ability to. Does he have the ability to do all these different things you want in pass protection? And the answer is a resounding yes. And when it comes to run blocking, you love to use the frame, throw you out of the club. This guy is throwing people out of the club. He's a bouncer who works throughout the day.
Hey, look, Lance, it's not that. Like, if I'm in an alley, I like to go with people that I know can whoop tail. And this dude right here, he whoops him. He whoops him. He beats him down. He is a nightmare. And when you even look at him, he's scary. I like those scary dudes to get off the bus first. Icky is the guy that I want. He is a mauler brawler. If you put him in one of those run-heavy offenses, i.e. like the Baltimore Ravens, he is going to mash and mangle defensive linemen all over the field.
And we all know the toughest guy in the room is not the one that's telling you how tough he is and what he's going to do to you. It's the one that's very quiet, and the last thing you want to do is flip that switch. Speaking of Icky, how about sharing this little nugget about his personality with us at his presser?
I do. I did a little bit of musical theater, when I was a kid. Never was able to do that, during high school and middle school just because sports and everything. But, yeah, definitely a little bit of music background for sure. I was in the Jungle Book. I was in the Aristocats, 101 Dalmatians. So, yeah, a couple different spots. I actually got the lead in the 101 Dalmatians. I was Pongo the dog, so that was a big step for me.
Oh. Whatever team drafts him better be on Hard Knocks so we can see him perform during the rookie song.
Oh, we got all kinds of stuff for him at the rookie show.
Absolutely.
Oh, I want to see that 101 Dalmatian sing the lead song.
Right. Aristocats?
Yeah.
Let's move on to, you mentioned him by name, Lance, but Bucky, get us started on Trevor Penny.
Hey, Trevor Penny is nice. Very solid in everything that he does. Lance talked about how he's a monster on the edge. This is a guy, you're thinking about a smaller school. Can he stack up? He absolutely can stack up because the technique is really, really solid. He has enough nastiness to compete at a higher level. This is a guy, his best football is ahead of him. A lot of reasons to be excited about him.
Yeah, he's one of these guys that just about everything we're going to see is he's throwing people down. The one thing is you can be tough without doing things that are going to get you penalties on the next level. So he's got to get that under control, but it speaks to who he is. He's a naturally aggressive person, and I think it's really interesting that Northern Iowa has cranked out Spencer Brown last year in the 3rd round, and then this year, first rounder Trevor Penny. They came in as like 220-pound guys and gained about 100 pounds at Northern Iowa. So projecting frame types is a really big deal when it comes to offensive line because he carries his weight great, and he's a good athlete.
A lot of corn.
Plenty of corn.
That was obvious. I probably shouldn't have even said that. Bucky, let's go to Bernhard Rahmen,
Oh,
Central Michigan. Bernard Raymond.
oh, look, he's another talented player in this class. We're going to talk about this class over and over and over again. And we've seen guys kind of come out of Central Michigan and have success. I think Joe Staley is a Chippewa, as we would like to say. And he had a nice career. This guy is really talented. Not quite what Joe Staley is, but, man, he is very, very polished. His technique,
look at him,
based on where he's coming from, really impressive.
That was a good game against LSU, by the way. It really convinced me. Look, he had some up and down moments at the Senior Bowl, but I'm not going to get too worried about that because I've seen that plenty. His inside hand is really nice. He used a little double underhook move. He's just learning. Money, he was a tight end that made a switch over to tackle during COVID, and he was watching videos on his phone trying to teach himself how to play tackle when he was separated from the rest of his team. So he's only played tackle for 2 years. And what you see now versus what you're going to see is really, really impressive. So keep in mind, this is a guy who's played the position for 2 years. He is a German player, an Austrian player who I believe is 24 years old. So he's had a couple of years enlisted in their military. It's something he had to do. He's a very mature player as well.
You're getting all political on us. You're saying we should have conscription here in the States?
Well, I'm just
I'll
saying,
back you up. I'll back up that platform.
Is.
Get these kids off the phones. Conscription is the answer. All right, that's neither here nor there. Let's go inside. We actually just saw him. He was just walking in a second ago. Lindenbaum rolled in here, center. And remember when, we were wondering why you're really going to take a center in the first round? And, those days have long passed.
Yeah.
So Tyler Linderbaum is the crush of every offensive line person in the country, and it's not even close. His ability to get out in space, and look, he's at Iowa. I mean, this is the home of offensive line play, right? Iowa and Wisconsin. Tyler Linderbaum is a champion wrestler. He beat Tristan Wirfs in high school in one of their matches. He has tremendous leverage, tremendous strength. Now, he's only about 6'2", 290 in that neighborhood right there. I haven't seen what he came in at, but that's about what he plays at. So he's not the biggest guy. Probably needs to play on an outside zone scheme team, Bucky, but his ability to pull and get into space, that's how you spring long runs, is having a center who can get out there and clean up the open field.
Iowa Hawkeyes, they produce offensive linemen. Their guys played for a long time in the league. He is as trained as they come in terms of understanding the technique, how to play the game. You talk about being able to play in a zone scheme. He absolutely can get on the edges. He can climb to the next level. He is exactly what you look for in a pivot in today's game, someone that can move.
They're big, and sometimes they're really, really, really big. Such is the case with Daniel Fa'alele, who weighed in yesterday at 384 pounds. That is the heaviest player here at the Combine since 2003, and he would become, if he ends up finding his way to a roster, and we think he will, the second heaviest player in NFL history. Trying to move 384 pounds. And, of course, anytime you have a very large individual, as you see him sitting there on the bench, we have to get a very not large individual that works with us here at NFL Network to pose with him. I guess for context, to kind of see what a small human being looks like and a large human being looks like.
What's crazy is that Siciliano's 6'2".
I mean, he can put Andrew in his pocket if he wanted to and take him in.
He did, actually.
Who asked?
Put him in his pocket and he took him home.
Did Andrew ask for that?
I believe he did.
He had to be a good sport for that because, he should be on the box.
Hey, embrace it. Embrace it. So, Fa'alele, and again, Bucky, when we talk about 384 pounds, we talk about Evan Neal, who measured in at 6'7". What we want to see is big men move. So let's get to the drills. And your favorite drill to watch, or maybe the most valuable drill, kind of what you look for and what drill you like watching when it comes to offensive linemen.
Kick slide. It all starts with the kick slide. How are you able to move? Can you protect on the edges? And we're going to look at this tape with Tristan Wirfs doing the drill. Here we see the kick slide. You're trying to get to the thing, get a little punch, but we want to see how balanced you are, how much body control you have, and then the lateral agility and quickness. And how it translates, hey, man, you're dealing with those superheroes in the National Football League. You got to get out. Here against Cam Jordan, Pro Bowler, hey, he's able to work him around the quarterback, make him run the hump. Here with a quick set. Oh, got those hands on. It's over. It's all done deal. Let's go on to the next. that's what happens. Tristan Wirfs was able to display that at the Combine a few years ago.
Yep.
He came right into the National Football League and played at a high level, almost an all-pro level.
Talk about a unicorn-looking body type, by the way. Remember when he walked over and was talking to you, and everyone was just looking at that lower half going, come on now.
Yeah, I was going to wrestle him.
Oh, that would be
I was going to head slap him, take him to the ground, but he didn't want to do that.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, you know, I'm
head slap?
undefeated.
Oh, yeah, you get the wheel.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what would have happened.
Off.
Still ahead as we see the measurements here for our offensive linemen. When we return, we're going to look back at yesterday and deliver our Combine winners. Lance and Bucky going through the quarterbacks, wide receivers, and tight ends, and who impressed the most and did themselves a whole lot of favors when they left Indianapolis. Coming up next on NFL Scouting Combine Today.
We're literally and figuratively off and running at the Scouting Combine in Indy 2022. The music's for you, folks. You better enjoy it. Is that a camera-shy young man? Come on. You cannot hide from us. How you doing, Gio? Howie Roseman might be listening right now. What would you tell him if he was listening to you?
Wide receivers and linebackers. Please, Howie, for the love of God, get us some linebackers.
And here's Irv. Michael Irvin wearing baby clothes at the Combine. Calm down. Oh, my gosh. Michael Irvin's speechless, everybody. Chris Olave, 4-2-6 people. We showed that simulcam of Mahomes trailing a group. Patrick didn't like it. Yeah, I hear you. Oh, it's a meme now, watching.
An exciting day one, and it certainly bears looking back upon yesterday, guys. 4-2, about a little after 11 p.m. local time, and the wide receivers, tight ends, and quarterbacks all put on a show. So, Bucky, let's start with the quarterbacks, because there were some questions about whether or not we had any sizzle in this quarterback class, and it feels like we're in a lot better place than we were before we started the Combine yesterday.
It does feel like we're in a much better place, and part of that is because the guys that showed up certainly have big-time talent. Malik Willis is someone that has certainly caught the eye of scouts. First coming off of the Senior Bowl, but when you saw him launching these rainbows, I mean, just down the field, you can just envision him playing in an offense that allows him to run it and to just throw it deep over the top of the defense. He has certainly helped himself, and when you think about what he did in the interview room, Desmond Ritter is another quarterback that helped himself, and maybe we just slept on him, the most slept on quarterback in this class. Well, we are awake now, and we have a ton of respect for what he's able to do as an athlete. 4 or 5 time in the 40, 35-inch vertical, threw the ball really, really well. And now when you take that, compare it to the film, and then look at the complete resume as a guy that led a Group of 5 team to the Final Four, yeah, Desmond Ritter, there's a lot to like about him.
Anybody else, Lance?
Yeah, I thought Kenny Pickett, for a guy who had 42 touchdowns and 7 interceptions this year, feels like he's not getting a whole lot of respect, honestly. Senior Bowl, I didn't think anyone really stood out at the Senior Bowl, and Pickett didn't. He needed to have a good Senior Bowl. But I thought he threw the ball well. I thought it came out of his hands really well. And, yeah, we know about the hand size stuff. We can talk about that all you want. But the fact is, I thought he looked like he had good command as a passer yesterday on the field, and you could feel him when he was throwing the football. So I thought Kenny Pickett really did a nice job of establishing himself back up as a top 15 type quarterback.
I know it's all circumstance and what offense and who's on your team, but if you had your pick between the 3, which one would you want?
Well, I mean, if I want to play right now, I think Kenny Pickett is going to be the guy. The guy with the most upside, Malik Willis.
All right. Let's go to wide receivers. Wasn't just the quarterbacks, Lance. Wide receiver winners from yesterday.
Well, I mean, how do you not say Chris Olave? Chris Olave ran really, really fast. I knew he was going to run really, really fast. But, I mean, what it is, you could look, Chris Olave also was nice and smooth out in the gauntlet drill, out in the routes. I mean, he looked the part of a pass catcher. He is a wide receiver first who happens to run really, really fast. He's not a fast guy who happens to play wide receiver. So I think first and foremost, we got to see him as a receiver who runs really, really fast, and he basically put that on the field yesterday. So I think he helped himself immensely. I don't know that we see him get past Cleveland at about number 13, honestly. But the other guy that really helped himself, I thought, was Christian Watson. And I don't know if people really, truly appreciate what Christian Watson did. This is a guy at North Dakota State who went out at the Senior Bowl and put on a show at the Senior Bowl. He went to North Dakota State. That's basically the Alabama of the FCS. I mean, all they do is dominate. Then he went out and ran a 4.3 some odd 40. He jumped over 11 feet in the broad jump. His vertical was 38.5. When you put together the athletic profile with the explosiveness, with the height, weight, and speed, he touches every single square of the traits that you want from an explosive wide receiver. He's not just a fast guy who can jump high. I mean, he's a wide receiver who has the ability to hit all of the traits that you're looking for at the position.
And, Bucky, we had a third group. We had the tight ends as well. Winner from the tight end group yesterday. Jelani
Woods from Virginia. This is a guy that has been steadily on the rise throughout the postseason. Had a terrific week at the East-West Shrine game. Continues to build upon that with his performance at the Combine. 4.61 in the 40, 24 reps on the bench press. You saw him catch the ball naturally, and the explosiveness that he's been able to display as a blocker. He's a true wide tight end. I think he's worked himself into the conversation on day 2.
Do we have a first-round tight end in this group?
I don't think so. I know people have talked about Trey McBride, but I don't think we have a first-rounder. I think the second round we may see 3 tight ends come off the board.
Here are our top tight end athleticism scores. And you see right there Jelani Woods coming in at number 3 per Next Gen Stats. 4th member of our broadcast team, Kimmy Checks, rolling with all the participants yesterday. If you missed those conversations, interviews, here's a taste of what you got to go back and revisit.
Desmond Ritter, quarterback for Cincinnati. You just put on a show here at the NFL Combine. Some teammates and some coaches. We got a little live look of them watching you run the 40.
Move, boys, move. He got move. Yeah, they're my boys. Yes, sir.
Katy Perry, I mean, speaking of the mic drop, she was all on board your Heisman campaign.
Coach Kiffin always plays her music at practice. Always tweets at her. I see it got her attention, so it was pretty cool because I got out of practice and my buddies were texting me and yeah, appreciate the love, Katie.
Orlando Bloom, don't listen to this. The hand size is always a thing, but we saw Joe Burrow famously say a few years ago, you guys, I guess I have to retire. I got small hands. Reggie Bush tweeting out and saying, you guys, what's the big deal about hand size for QBs? Can you throw the ball or not? You just showed, we just saw some videos. You still can throw the football.
Yeah, I was scared it was going to go through my hands out there today, but no, it worked out. It worked out. It was a good day overall.
Now, when you're not playing football, you love dancing, the fun little TikTok dances with your teammates.
Oh, yeah. That's me. That's Chase. That's Chase Lane, my boy. And that's Isaiah. Wait, that's me right there. And that's Isaiah Spiller. He here, too. We're going to see him tomorrow. Yeah.
I think that's fire.
Yeah,
what would you rate us?
I get it an A.
Still ahead as we get ready for offensive linemen to get rolling. Remember, our combine coverage on NFL Network starts at 4 p.m. Eastern. Going to go until about 10. We got the running backs coming up as well. When we come back, we're going to get you the Heat Index, a handful of names to keep an eye on and how many flamin' flames these guys will put next to their name 1 through 5. We'll share that next on NFL Scouting Combine today.
On the set. I'm not speaking specifically.
Hey, Lance, stop talking. We're back at Scouting Combine today. We're all excited about the Heat Index. You're going to talk about Brian Cook in a minute. Man, this thing's going to start. These guys get excited. It's understandable. They're scouts. This is their time to shine. 4 to 10 p.m. offensive linemen and running backs. We got the offensive line firing off in about a half hour. So let's get to some players we're going to be keeping an eye on. You will assign a number of flames. You've been cheating. Give them half flames. You can have a half flame. You know, a flame, you got no flame. I guess you could have kindling. Maybe it's just kind of, anyway.
Sure.
Let's start with Brian Cook.
Brian Cook, Cincinnati, put 4 flames on him. The fire emojis are real. I watched tape on this guy. I'm like, why is no one talking about Brian Cook? I mean, if you don't like big safeties who came from Howard as corners who transferred over to Cincinnati and all they can do is cover, run, make plays, and go hit you in the running game, then you won't like Brian Cook then, I guess. Brian Cook is what it's supposed to look like in the NFL. He's built like an NFL safety. He's built like Julian Blackmon, who plays right here from Utah, plays right here for the Colts. But when you watch him, he's very, very smart. He's always on top of things. He hits and tackles like a real NFL safety. He can play on the back end. He can play down in the box. I don't know why people are sleeping on him. They need to quit playing with this man's name like I try to tell you and put the 4 flames on him. If we need to, I can put 5.
You had too many qualifiers. You're like, hey, if you don't like guys that are from Baylor and they drink, an Americano with 2 shots. Jeez.
Well, it ends with tackling and hitting and covering.
You know who else tackles and hits? Boye Mafe.
Oh,
Give me
Boye.
heat index.
Boye Mafe. I'm from North Carolina, and what we do is in our barbecue, we like to put a little hot sauce on it so we can put some of that Texas Pete on Boye Mafe's name. Give him 5. Let's give him 5.
This is our first 5.
We're high.
5 flames.
I mean,
Roll the boat,
I'm
5 flames.
going to give all the qualifiers that Lance got. Hey, if you don't like guys that can come off the edge, if you don't like guys that can jump over tall buildings in a single bound, if you don't like guys that can knock quarterbacks down, then you're not going to like Boye Mafe. All I'm going to say is this guy is climbing up the charts. Book it. He's a first-round pick.
That's our first
He's a
5
first-round
flame
pick.
heat index participant, Boye Mafe. All right, you go Kyer Elam.
Kyer Elam, 2.5
Oh,
flames.
boo.
Yeah, I'd like to. Listen, they all can't get the flame count up that high. I think, unfortunately, I like everything about him, except I don't think he's real fast. And I think at the Combine, we've already seen, all we do is talk about speed, right? The 40 time. There's just too many times on tape where fast wide receivers left him behind. So I think it's going to hurt him a little bit out here at the Combine. But then when they go back to the tape, I think some of the flame emojis come back because he's an athletic player and he has a lot of nice skills. I just think the 40 time, it's about speed, and I don't think that's where Kyer Elam really shows up necessarily.
Bucky, your high school coach. You know I love the high school football.
Yeah.
And I remember when Kayvon Thibodeau was the #1 recruit in the nation. He went to Oregon and was like, man, how do you end up at Oregon? I don't know. But how do you end up in your heat index? How many
He ended
flames?
up in my heat index because I'm glad you mentioned I'm a high school coach. Sometimes when you're a high school coach, you got to take the little poker to get guys going. So I know I'm going to get some heat from Kayvon Thibodeau's people because I said, like, hey, I worry about his ability to play at a high level consistently with the motor. So what I want to see is at the Combine, can he rev it up? Can he give me that consistent stuff that I saw his freshman year? Because each and every year after his freshman year, the production has been up and down. Some of that is due to injuries, but more of it is due to lack of domination. It is very similar to me to the Jadeveon Clowney evaluation. You always want more. He leaves a little more on the plate. I want to be in the clean plate club. Be in the clean plate club, Kayvon Thibodeau.
You know what? They say the clean plate club is what has led to the obesity epidemic in America. so maybe we don't want them in the clean
guess what?
plate club.
You want guys that want to eat. You want guys that want to eat money. That's what you want off the
All right,
edge.
heat index. My nephew, Tyler Smith.
I got a guy. He's not your nephew. I got a guy that you got to have your flames up
Says
for, and
you.
that's Tyler Smith. 4.5 flames, almost got to the 5, except for the fact he had 11 holding penalties this year. Now, that seems a little bit high. It is a little bit high. But when you watch him, this is one of the most powerful. He is a stump grinder. When you want to get the stump out, you better go out there, wrap the chain around it, get a truck, and pull it out of the ground. That's what this guy is. Tyler Smith is incredibly strong at the point of attack. He's just a little bit lazy with his hands and his feet sometimes. It's not that he can't do it. It just needs to be coached and corrected. He has rare physicality at the point of attack, rare explosiveness, and I mean he can absolutely move humans around the field. So this is a guy that is going to be, I'm telling you right now, do not get surprised when you hear Tyler Smith mentioned at the back end of the first round coming up soon.
Let me tell you something. You guys are talking about, oh, if you don't like this, if you don't like this. Let me tell you what I do like.
What do you like?
I like linebackers from Purdue, and I like linebackers from Wyoming. And that's why you're going to put some flames on my man, Mooma.
Mooma. Look, I don't know about you grinding stumps because I saw Rick Ross cut a tree without a stump grinder and it was fine and it tipped over. So, look, Mooma is absolutely going to be a flamethrower. I'm going to give him 4 flames
We'll take it.
for this. I don't think people are paying attention to what this guy can do. Based on what Logan Wilson has been able to do at Cincinnati, I am really excited about Mooma. Mooma gives you everything. We talk about cleaning the plate. Oh, his plate is full. There are veggies. It's a little meat. It's a little bread. It's a little dessert over there in the corner.
Oh, okay.
It's almost like a TV dinner. There's so much stuff on his plate. Mooma does everything because he can take the ball away. He can tackle sideline to sideline. He can rush the passer. He is all over the field. This is my favorite. I don't crush on many prospects. He's my favorite.
I'm with you. That's why I would have given him 5 flames instead of 4 from Mooma. Think about it. You're in a stadium. He makes the big play, and you hear the Mooma. Who doesn't want that?
Come
All
on.
right. Just ahead, we finally pay our respects to the running back group, which will be making its way on the field here after the offensive linemen. They got fans in. We got juice in the stands. They're screaming Bucky's name. He's ignoring them. It's an awesome afternoon. This thing gets started at 4 p.m. James Cook, Dalvin's brother, will focus on what he's looking forward to here today next.
best running back class in recent history. Now, Leonard Fournette, he is an old-school tailback.
Quite a day on the field.
That's pretty good right there. And he's not even thinking about it. Next 4 guys, I'm talking about Dalvin Cook. He's crossing off every single box. McCaffrey, if you're not born with that, you don't develop it over time. Kamara from Tennessee, crazy good, this Kamara.
It's like on a joystick.
He's showing off a little.
The running back is back in the game of football.
Darn right it is, and they're going to be right behind us here in just a couple hours. The offensive line get us started at 4 p.m. DJ Rich Eisen going to be taking over on NFL Network. Then we will have the running back group that follows. So, Lance, let's get started on a drill that you like to watch that helps you figure out how good these individuals are.
Yeah, the flair. So a lot of times you don't see a lot of these guys catch passes. I'll give you an example. Leonard Fournette, 41 catches in 3 years at LSU. Last year he had 69. So how do you know he's going to have that many? Well, you watch drills like this for guys who didn't have a lot of catches. We knew Dalvin could catch the ball, but watch what he does here on this flair. What's important is it's the ability to catch and turn it up the field and get up the field. And in most cases, you got to make a man miss quickly. So the flare, a lot of things, it does one of two things. It sees how you are able to coordinate out to the perimeter, how your hand-eye coordination, how you catch it, and then how you square up and get up the field. But once you're playing in a football game, it's also about how you can be elusive and make the first man miss and how those hips look. So when you're out in space like that in a flare, you get to see the athleticism and the looseness of hips as well.
So, Buck, we see your top 5 running backs on the screen. Let's dig in, and let's start with that number 5, Dalvin's brother, James Cook, out there at Georgia.
Oh, James Cook is terrific. He's terrific because he has a little bit of his brother's game in it. And when you think about the new school running backs that are able to succeed, they can give you big playability. There we see James hit it up inside, taking the distance, but then you got to make people miss. Oh, way to get skinny in the phone booth and wiggle and get out of there. He can do all of that. And then I like the balance. It's about balance and body control. Look, man, this dude is Houdini. He can get out of there. He gets out of trouble. He can put it together, and he doesn't have a lot of miles on him in the passing game.
Look at that route.
Nice little angle route, getting in there. We talk about it, being able to get outside. When your running backs are able to run like running back ones but catch the ball like wide receiver twos, it changes the equation for the defense. I like James Cook. He's going to be a talented player, a special player at the next level.
That ability to get out in space, we talk about the flare, but what they did there, and you saw it in the video, what they like to do is get him out in space against linebackers and safeties because it was a mismatch. So he's a mismatch player. In today's NFL, you want running backs that are mismatch players.
All right, well, let's keep it going. And Lance, Bucky, we moved to Iowa State, and our man Breece Hall. Buck.
Oh, man, Iowa State has been so lucky because first you have David Montgomery, then you have Breece Hall coming right behind him. And the thing that they do at Iowa State is they produce complete running backs, guys that can do a little bit of anything and everything. Breece Hall has the patience. A lot of times when you're looking at tape, these are what I call pro runs. It's not about the speed, but it's about the patience, the balance, to be able to get in and out of trouble, and then you have to be able to put it in the paint. This is what my guy Breece Hall is able to do, running through contact, because it can get a little thicky, like going through the thicker brow brush. Just got to get through it. He's able to do it, and then in the passing game, soft hands, put him on a spin cycle, get in and out of it. A lot of talented running backs in this draft class. All of the guys that are at the top of the board, they not only can do it at runners, but they can do it in the passing game.
I like him into Matt Forte. That was my comp. And Le'Veon Bell's the easy one because he kind of delay, boom. But, when you watch Matt Forte, he was a guy that was a very talented runner and pass catcher. He had a similar size. I went and checked that out. You can see, he's a guy that ran with good contact balance for being a big back as well. But the reason I really like this comp is because Matt Forte was effective out of the backfield as well. So he wasn't just a one-way player. He's what we call a full package player. He'll give you the full package. Down 1, down 2, down 3. You want short yardage, he can do that as well. That's Breece Hall. So Breece Hall gives you all the elements that Bucky talked about, but now he gives you the elements that Matt Forte also was so good at with the Chicago Bears and the Tulane Greenway, and that is catching a football.
Keep it going, Lance, with Kenny Walker. Talk about starting off the season with a bang.
Yeah, Kenny Walker, wow. I mean, he came out of nowhere, and Wake runs a very bizarre type of mesh point where they walk up to the line of scrimmage at the mesh point, and then the running back has to just take off out of nowhere. Well, that instant explosion is something that he brought with him to Michigan State. He's got instant cutback ability from anywhere on the field. He is explosive, he's physical, he's powerful, and the ability to create something out of nothing is something that very few running backs have. That is a gift. The one thing I would say is he needs to be able to run with a little bit more discipline, because offensive line coaches and running back coaches are going to want you to stay on track. When the track says run here, keep it on the track. Be disciplined.
Better or worse, Blake Ezor?
Better.
Okay.
No.
Bucky, why don't you get us going with Isaiah Spiller?
I mean, he's chugging it
running
great.
backs, Isaiah Spiller.
Let's go to Texas A&M. Isaiah Spiller. Isaiah Spiller is another one of those guys. We talk about being a pro running back. It's about the patience and the burst. Sometimes when you're going on the 405, you can't go full speed all the time. You got to be able to throttle in and throttle out. Hit the gas. He can do that. Part of the reason why Spiller can do it is he has great vision, being able to spot, identify the creases, front side, back side. He can do it. He has a little burst to take it the distance. And then it's the ability to stop, start, get in and out of cuts, get into the hole, get to the second level. He finishes with power. I just love watching his game on tape. It is really like playing a video game. He makes you hit all the buttons in Madden. So he's going to be terrific on that, and then catching the ball out the backfield.
Whoa.
We've talked about it. All of these guys can do it. And if you're going to be an NFL running back, a high-level running back, you have to be able to run it, but you also have to be able to do it in the passing game. Isaiah Spiller can do that.
Better or worse, Dat Nguyen?
Oh, I love Dat Nguyen. He's a legend. He's a legend, Dat Nguyen. His name is in the stadium.
That's why I brought him up.
Kyle Field.
That's why I brought him up. Lance, let's go to I don't even remember where I'm going. Kyron Williams.
So I'm going to go with a very specific type of running back. Kyron Williams, a lot of people are very high on him as a running back. I'm very high on him as a third down type of player, because he's probably we can look at all the running back stuff that you want to look at, and I think he's a solid running back. You see that C on his chest. He was a captain. He is a big-time leader. He's an intangibles guy. He's tough. If the Patriots didn't need if they needed a running back, I'd plug him in now. We can move on to the next pick.
Ooh.
But I don't think they need a running back, and I'll tell you why.
Ooh.
Because he can get out in space, mismatch people as a pass catcher, but he is the nastiest, one of the nastiest pound-for-pound pass-protecting running backs that I've seen in my entire life. We would, in the Joe Moore Awards, where offensive line stuff that we were watching for the last 2 years, all we could talk about was this kid's ability to work like an offensive lineman in terms of picking up the blitz. He's physical, he's tough, and he's a good pass catcher.
Better or worse, Robert Brooks?
Ooh. I'm going to say he's better, but Brooks is a big guy now.
He was something
That's a
now.
big back now.
You don't get enough credit. That's why I brought him up.
Yeah.
All right, let's finish it up with Snoop Connor. Buck. Or is that you, Lance?
That's me.
Oh, that's you.
Snoop is my
I'm all
guy
over the
now.
place.
This is a middle-round gem. This draft is filled with middle-round gems. Do not sleep on this draft, because it has guys like Snoop Connor. He's big, he's physical, and he can run. He's a guy who had to share the ball. Jerry Neely, one of his teammates, is out here as well. He had to share the ball with 3 different running backs, so he slept on a little bit, but his size, he's NFL size, he's an NFL demeanor, he's an NFL body type, and he has some looseness in his lower half. So he's an example of one of the guys that you're going to get in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round, and he's going to play a long time, and eventually he's going to be getting starting carries at some point.
All right, now let's put them on some squads. Get the people that are watching excited about which teams might find themselves with each of these individuals that we just celebrated. So, Bucky, you're going to get us started in each of these. Breece Hall, where does he end up?
Oh, he ends up with the Arizona Cardinals. If the Arizona Cardinals are unable to bring back James Conner, then what you want to do is you want to have a guy who can do it all in the backfield. Breece Hall, as we showed you on the X and O tape, he can do all those things. Running the ball inside and outside, catching the ball out the backfield. He will become quickly Kyler Murray's best friend as the safety valve out the backfield.
I'm going to put him with the Miami Dolphins in the 2nd round, and I understand that you can find running backs in the outside zone scheme, in rounds later, but he's a guy who plays 1st, 2nd, and 3rd down, as we talked about previously, and if you get a running back like that, that's one of the greatest gifts that you can give Tua Tagovailoa, is a running back that can take some of the pressure off of him. So I like Breece Hall and his 3-down capability for Miami.
All right, well, if he picks up where Kyle Shanahan left off, Coach McDaniel is going to draft him in the 2nd round, and then he's going to draft somebody else in the 6th round, and that person's going to become the starter, and that's the way it works out. Let's go, Bucky. Kenny Walker.
Kenny Walker, to me, is a perfect fit in the team you talk about. Not you didn't talk about them. The LA Rams. The LA Rams, because Sony Michel might be leaving. We still don't know how Cam Akers is fully going to return. So Kenny Walker there, being able to run on the edges in that outside zone scheme, gives him the physicality and toughness. Can catch the ball, but really, he can get in between the tackles and make it happen.
I'm going to put him with the Atlanta Falcons. And I'll tell you why. I think, we got one more year probably with Matt Ryan. He's had a great run at quarterback. But maybe this team is going to turn into a run-first team. And Kenneth Walker's a guy who showed durability this year. He showed the ability to handle a heavy workload. And I think one of the things we're going to start to see come back into the NFL is the bell cow running back. And that's what Kenneth Walker has a chance to be. So I'm going to flip the script. We'll go from throwing the ball all over the yard in Atlanta to now we're going to run the football with Kenneth Walker.
All right, Buck, let's go Isaiah Spiller.
Isaiah Spiller, to me, is a perfect fit for who? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, if you don't bring back Leonard Fournette, you have to figure out who is going to be the bell cow running back. You don't have Ronald Jones. You don't have Giovanni Bernard. Well, why not get a player that can do it all? That is what Spiller is able to do. He can run the ball effectively with power, but also get on the perimeter and do some of the finesse things that you want to see in the passing game.
H-Town, hold it down. We're going to load his stuff up into a U-Haul, and we're going to drive him from College Station to the Houston Texans. Okay, that's what we're going to do. They need a running back. It was not good enough last year. It wasn't even close to being good enough. And Lovie Smith said, I want a bell cow running back that can – and those are his words. That's what he wants. And so Isaiah Spiller, as Bucky put it earlier, he's a guy who can be a bell cow running back. Davis Mills, the young quarterback, needs some running help. How are you going to do that? Well, you better go draft an offensive lineman, but you also better get a running back. They really need one. And Isaiah Spiller – that's a simple drive up to College Station, about an hour and a half. Don't tell me you couldn't make it to go watch him play.
I don't know what you're talking about. I saw a Texans game. Rex Burkhead ran for like 300 yards. He's still running, as a matter of fact. Not being able to run the ball. I saw it up close and personal. All right, how about Kyron Williams, Buck?
Oh, let's go to the Kansas City Chiefs, because the Kansas City Chiefs need to double down on speed, and more speed. When they've been at their best, they put a track team on the perimeter. Well, Kyron Williams is another guy that has that kind of speed and explosiveness to enhance it. When you think about Tyreek Hill on the outside, Travis Kelce on the outside, being able to have Kyron Williams being able to get in the screen game certainly adds an element that will make Patrick Mahomes more effective.
I like him with the Seahawks. You got a battering ram over there in Chris Carson. How about we give him a third down help? I just told you he's like a third down back, but he's also a matchup player as well that you can bring out of the backfield that is very tough to cover. And he's a culture guy also. And I think it feels like some of the culture has been lost from that Seattle locker room, or at least from the field. It doesn't feel the same. He's a guy who is a captain who teammates love. He works hard. He expects you to work hard as well. I think he's a culture guy who also gives you a specific skill set to go with a banging running attack that you already have.
Let's finish it up with James Cook, Bucky.
James Cook is a nice fit for the Denver Broncos. You have Javonte Williams there. You may not have Melvin Gordon. So you got to find another guy that can be a part of that rotation. But when I think about it, this is the perfect fit. The Broncos under Nathaniel Hackett, we don't know who the quarterback is, but they're going to have to run the football. They're going to run it on the edges. I think that is why he's a nice fit in this scheme.
I'm going to go with the Giants, actually. I think he is a specific look. He's an outside zone type of back, but he's another matchup player. But what he gives you is the chance to create a more versatile look, more versatile personnel groupings. And that's something I think right now that has been very, very badly missing from the New York Giants. They've been a predictable team. They can't block it up. He's a guy who can create his own yardage, as you saw in some of the spotlight videos that we had, and he can create opportunities for easy throws for Daniel Jones. We can't make it so hard for Daniel Jones. We got to give him some easy throws. Let's do it to a talented back like James Cook.
And certainly you get excited about first-rounders, but as we have seen over the last half-decade, players drafted second, third, fourth round become effective runners and stars in this league. NFL Scouting Combine going to start at 4 p.m. here, just a few minutes away. DJ Rich Eisen get us rolling with the offensive lineman, 40-yard dash. On-field drills, there he is, Ike Ekwonu. Looking forward to see him getting moving out there. Could end up as the #1 overall pick of the Jacksonville Jaguars. But when we return, he was out here throwing yesterday. Sam Howell going to get on the whiteboard with our man Mooch. That's next on Scouting Combine Today.
it? Yes, you can. He can throw it, but he can run that bad boy, too.
Quarterback draw, navigates. Malik Willis. Touchdown, Liberty.
Corral, shot to the end zone. Caught. Touchdown, Ole Miss. How about that Corral? Holy cow. Sam Howell showing the toughness for 6. Ritter delivers right on the money, and that's going to be a Cincinnati touchdown.
Desmond Ritter makes plays when he has to.
Yeah, it's no different than any other year. You get a lot more excited about the quarterbacks once you leave the combine. Here's the way it shook out in 2021. Bucky Brooks, top 5. Trevor Lawrence, followed by Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, and then Mac Jones. Anything you'd like to move around on there?
Let's see. I think I might move Mac Jones around a little bit based on how he played, but I feel good about the talent. We just have to see. 3 to 4 year decision. That's what that is.
Early.
Would you put Davis Mills in there?
In the top 5?
I'm just asking. He had a nice final 5 games.
He did.
I mean,
he did.
I know Zach Wilson had flashes, but man, it was not pretty.
New York is not great.
I understand
I was about to say terrible, but then they'd be mad at me because we're on the network.
I think it's
two flames.
It's fair. I mean, I think it's a fair question.
Yeah.
You know, people saying that if Davis Mills was in this draft, he'd be the number 1 quarterback taken.
Why don't you like Zach Wilson?
I'm just saying he had a rough go.
Trevor Lawrence had a rough go too.
You're absolutely right.
It's the rookie season.
I just didn't want to put you in that weird spot because, you know.
The weird spot? No, we call it like it is.
Okay. All right. Sam Howell. We're going to discuss him in a moment. Your alma mater. Put you in a weird spot.
Hey, look, it's tough.
All right. Before we get to that, though, let's see how he does on the whiteboard with our guy, Mooch.
Sam Howell.
Coach, how you doing? Yes, sir. Good to see you.
You too. Sit down.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for coming in.
Oh, yeah, glad to be here.
Have you ever heard of the Walter Payton Man of the Year Award?
Usually just goes to a guy who's giving back to the community and just doing something that's impacted people's lives.
You do that now?
I do, yes, sir.
What do you do?
Yeah, I partner with an organization called Table. Table is an organization that helps kids in Chapel Hill that suffer from food insecurity and hunger.
I want you to be the Walter Payton Man of the Year someday.
Yes, sir.
You started off like a bang, right?
I did, yes, sir.
First home game, Miami. You're down 25-20, minute left.
Yes, sir.
What's the play?
Rio Dancer Crack is the play. We're zone. We're going to throw this corner around the back of the end zone.
And you threw the corner for the touchdown, didn't you?
We did, yes, sir.
Touchdown, North Carolina.
You ever see that movie, American Underdog?
With Kurt Warner.
You know, Kurt Warner wasn't even invited to the Combine.
No, sir.
Yeah, and he didn't get drafted either. By the way, he's in the Hall of Fame.
He is.
Kicked my butt a few times. But you know what? Before he showed up, we beat those Rams 17 times in a row. All right, so I'm going to show you a play. That's one of my favorite plays, all right?
Yes, sir.
Zebra in the West Coast offense, it's zebra personnel, okay? But most people call it 11, right?
Yep.
Double wing right. Let me draw this play, because this is a play that was very instrumental and kicking the Rams' butt. All right, double wing right is the formation, okay, with 11 personnel. Two jet is the protection. This guy's going through the free safety. This guy's running a Dino. Post, corner, post, all right? Triple move, isn't it? And then this guy's running a Y shell across. He'll sit down or he'll run, zone or man. You got that? And this guy over here is going to run a speed out, 4th outside step. He's going to round it. You'd throw that if you wanted to, real soft on your 5th step, right? No hitch. If he stops, you shoot that in there for a touchdown.
Yes, sir.
All right? If he stays home, you go to number 2, right over here. This guy's going to turn this guy all around here. You're going to throw that for a touchdown. Now, I'm going to give you a concept that I taught Andy Dalton 11 years ago. He sat right there.
Yes, sir.
Touchdown, check down. A lot of the throws are in the end zone for the touchdown. And if you like it, you take it. But you got to be smart, especially on early downs, right? If not there, you check it down right there. You check it down right there. Go get your 5 yards, and you live for another play.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you got that?
Yes, sir.
What are your strengths as a quarterback?
My ability to lead.
Okay, I like that because that's an intangible thing. I mean, that's what Tom Brady ended up making his money on, all the intangible things, right? Because here at the Combine, he didn't do much as far as measurables. Yeah. But his intangibles got him to be the GOAT. Tell me about your physical qualifications.
I think my arm talent. I have the ability to make every throw on the field. I'm mobile enough to make plays with my feet as well. Spend a lot of time in the preparation part of it.
Yeah, well, draw my play.
Yes, sir. We'll be in 11 personnel.
And what's 11 personnel for our viewers?
11 personnel is 1 tight end, 1 running back, 3 receivers.
Okay.
Double wing right, 2 jet, Dino, Y, shallow cross.
Okay, draw it. Can you draw a little smaller?
So here, verse 1 high, he's thinking he wants to cross the safety's face. The X, he's going to run your Dino. You can get a post, corner, post. This is our shot right here. Here on the tight end, your wide shallow cross. He'll stay on the move versus man. He'll sit versus zone. Here on the backside, fourth plant step on a speed out. The back, he would check, and he's sitting over here. Progression-wise, we're thinking touchdown to check down. So we're thinking 1 to 2, check down to 3, 4 to the back.
Have you ever seen this play before?
I have not.
Two-jet Dino, you guys ought to run it. I don't care where you go, but you ought to run it.
Yes, sir.
Hey.
Coach.
Good luck, man. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for doing this.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Bucky, you ever seen that play before?
Dino, man, that's an old West Coast staple. Green Bay Packers, we run it all the time. I'm really excited my guy took care of that. Because Sam Howell's one of my favorites. He wore my number. He wore my number in college. Like, that's a big deal.
Your alma mater. How'd he do yesterday?
He did okay. He was solid. Like, I think he can throw it better than he threw it the other day. But, look, I think he's a really good player. I think he's more of a day 2 talent. But in the right system, I think he can be a winning starting quarterback in the National Football League.
Yeah, see, I guess it's your perspective going in. I was down on him, and I came away yesterday saying, you know what? I need to give him a little bump. I need to give him what I call the Bucky bump. UNC. So I gave him a little Bucky bump, and I got him up from a 6'1" to a 6'2", which is an average starter in the league. I thought he threw the ball better than I expected. I thought he had some command out there. I liked the way he felt out there. So,
what number quarterback do you think he is off the board?
I think he is the 5th quarterback.
Yeah, I think it ends up flipping because I think tools are the deciding factor between he and Desmond Ritter. And Desmond Ritter is going to intrigue people when they go back because he won so many games, and then he put it down out here.
And you think Matt Corral is still the 3rd quarterback off the board?
Whoa.
I'm sorry, Pickett.
Where
am I at here?
I think Pickett's going to be 2.
Yeah, so you got Malik Willis 1, Pickett 2. Who's 3?
Well,
Desmond Ritter?
I mean,
yeah, because Matt Corral, I don't want to say out of sight, out of mind, but out of sight, out of mind.
We got to see him. We got to see him. But I think Sam is the comfortable 5th quarterback in this draft.
All right. Well, that is the quarterbacks from yesterday. Today we got the offensive linemen. We got the running backs. Of course, we'll recap it tomorrow. And we have got a whole mess of edge players. It is one of the deepest classes we've had in a long time. Cannot wait to dig into that tomorrow. Thank you for watching Scouting Combine today. Get on over to NFL Network as we get these offensive linemen ready to run with Rich and DJ next.